Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama for tonight's running of the ETVLive Team Series. Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Young, going to be bringing you live flag-to-flag coverage of tonight's event. Joining me tonight, welcoming him back to the ETVLive Team Series. It's been a couple weeks, Evan. Nice to see you back.
Yeah, I had all those vacation hours that JD will never let me forget about, and then missed last week. But we're here at Talladega. It's the FastTrackRacing.com 200. We got 75 laps, and I mean, no better place really to showcase a team series than Talladega.
Absolutely not, Evan. Talladega going to be a great equalizer here tonight for the championship standings. We currently have three teams trying to win the championship, and absolutely anything and everything can and probably will happen here tonight. Going back to last week's event, the Darlington Raceway hosting a 110 lap event for the ETVLive Team Series last week, and it was the Dark Horse Racing team who picked up the victory with a 128-point score. Finishing in the second place with 111 points was the Superspeedway Cup South Rebel team. The Superspeedway Cup North Union team rounded out the bottom step of the podium, only 1 point behind the South Rebel at 110 points. Crossed Out Motorsports finished in fourth place with 105 points. Last Lap Motorsports finished in fifth with 103 points, and the RSR Outlaw Truck team finished in sixth place with 83 points. Evan, for the point standings.
Yeah, things are starting to tighten up. It's race 10 out of 12 here, and it is Last Lap Motorsports sitting up front right now, but Super Speedway Cup North Union only 13 points behind them, and then 31 back. The third team looking on the outside in is Z Loop Racing in third. Then Crossed Up Motorsports, you got a 93-point gap back to them. Super Speedway Cup South Rebel 185 back. RSR Outlaw Trucks 287 out. 344 back is Twisty Motorsports and the RSR Midnight Thunder sitting at the back with 548 points behind last lap.
So a very tight points battle here with just three races. Have ruled out that Dark Horse Racing team from winning this championship. These past few weeks, they have been absolutely strong. They've won two of the last three events as a team. They've had, I believe, two driver wins these last 3 weeks. So they have definitely stepped up their game, and they are now a huge step for the championship heading down to these last three races. Evan, it's Talladega Superspeedway. We all know the great adventures and entertainment of Talladega. So many different things can happen here at this racetrack, in so many different ways that they can happen. What should we be expecting for tonight's event?
Well, it's 75 laps, and that's a pretty long time considering the track itself is about 2.66 miles around. But I think it's going to be real interesting as qualifying is going on right now because, again, this is a team series. So you're really going to see the teams working together. I was taking a look in practice. I saw a whole bunch of teammates working together, which ended up putting them up at the top of the practice speed. So this is really when you really need your teammates to help you out here. So it really should shake things up to see if maybe someone's going to have to abandon their teammates at the end.
It's been a big battle as of late here on whether we've been able to see two-car tandems or a big draft pack at the super speedways as of late. What do you think we're going to see here tonight? Do you think we're going to see some tandeming, or do you think the majority of this race is going to be running a big pack?
I mean, obviously, we have to keep doing the constant switching. So if maybe a two-car tandem gets out front, once they switch, the majority of the people are gonna, climb up to it. It all depends on how the race goes. I mean, if we have cautions every once in a while, then it's gonna kind of keep them grouped up. Also, if there's the big one that everyone's afraid of, that could really shake things up. But with these trucks, they're a little bit slower than maybe the Gen 6 cars that most people would think of racing here at the Super Speedway. So I think that maybe a little bit more pack racing.
Pack racing, tandem racing, probably going to see a little bit of both here at Talladega. It's been a new type of thing to watch for at these super speedways, and it's definitely going to be played out in tonight's event. This is a huge break for some of the non-performing teams throughout the series, as this track being a super speedway drafting, anybody has a chance to win a race at this racetrack. So some of those guys who have struggled throughout the season, don't really have a shot at the championship, but want to end the season strong. They have a shot here tonight to pick up a win if they can run together and run very well. As you had mentioned, Evan, with the draft being so important at this track, running with your teammates and the effect of the team in this team series is going to be a huge, huge role into seeing how this race is going to be run. Just over halfway through the qualifying session right now, and it's Terrence Donovan in the 22 machine, currently on the pole with a 51.074. To his outside right now, Josh Hanner in the 24, a 51.103. A tough break for Josh Hanner last week. One of the newer drivers to the series, only has a few races under his belt. Qualified on the pole last week at Darlington and had a great run going when unfortunately taken out in a wreck that was not of his doing. Ended his night. It was a heartbreak to see that happen for Josh. It looked like he had the truck to beat early on, and he definitely would have been a contender for that race last week. Looking to rebound here tonight. He currently sits on the outside pole. Should be interesting to see how he can rebound from last week with his progress.
Yeah, and you're going to want to try to keep your nose clean. You want to make it to the finish. You can't win in turn one. You can definitely lose it there. So if you want a shot at going to victory lane, you're going to have to be in contention at the end. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see maybe a group of teammates, one whole team, maybe drop to the back a little bit. And then if the cautions don't fly, they'll be able to work with each other to get back up to the front. One other interesting thing to note, the fastest driver in qualifying or practice, Rod Flag, Terrence Donovan, and Brandon Chaburko. That was a 3-truck tandem. They put down 47 O's almost. So watch out maybe for any 3-car tangos, not a tandem, tandems too. So heck, we might see a whole bunch of cars pushing in a big line tonight.
It should be very interesting to watch. Talladega, always a very exciting racetrack to watch. Lots of action, lots of who knows what's going to happen with this racetrack. It's nothing that you want to miss here tonight. The ETVLive Team Series taking to the Talladega SuperSpeedway. It's going to be a good one to watch. I'm looking forward to it, Evan. I hope you are too. It's nice to have you back in the booth once again, and actually taking a look back at that qualifying session here. As you had mentioned about Rod Flag being up towards the top in practice, he actually jumped up to second quickest here in qualifying at 51.87 or 51.087, so just about half a tenth or just about a hundredth actually off of Terrence Donovan. So time's very, very close here. The field's separated by about 2.5 tenths, so it should be a good one to watch.
Yeah, and when you think of Talladega, you're going to say, well, I mean, individual speeds aren't the most important because obviously the draft, the great equalizer in the Sprint Cup Series, they call it the wild card race because really anyone can go to victory lane. But it's going to help you a lot when you step out from behind the car in front of you if you're trying to go side by side to the checkered flag at the end. So individual speed never hurts, so it's good to see those guys up front. Going to have maybe a little bit of advantage, and starting up front never hurts either.
It definitely does not. Before we get going here with tonight's action, we're going to send it down trackside for pre-race festivities.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh,
Back here at the Talladega Superspeedway getting ready for tonight's event, but before we do that, going to send it down trackside for the command to start engines. On the pole for tonight's event in the 22 machine, that is Terrence Donovan into his outside. Teammates of the Superspeedway Cup North unit is the 23 of Rod Flagg.
Joshua Hanner is going to take the number 24 off third inside row number 2, and Hunter Bowles in the 29 starting fourth.
The number 13 of Jeff Backey Jr. going to round out your top 5 into his outside, and the number 11 truck is CJ LeVere.
Ray 4 on the inside, it'll be the 25 of Ray Kingsbury, and starting 8, the number 28 of Matt Kingsbury, who is actually going to be starting this race from pit road.
Fifth row running up the top 10 in the number 1 truck, that is Larry Milliken, going to roll off 9th into his outside. In the number 27 Last Lap Motorsports entry in the 10th spot is Jimmy Jones.
Stephen Koss going to start 11th in that number 14, and it's Matt Bontempi taking the 21 off 12th.
Nathan Lamoth in the number 26 machine will roll off in 13th into his outside. Dark Horse Racing driver and a dominant driver these past few weeks, that is Larry Scott Jr. Look for him to be strong starting from the 14th spot.
John Abbott, a familiar name on ETVLive, and that number 10 will roll off the grid, number 15, and 16th position, the 12 of Bobby Terrell.
Terrell, the final driver in the field to qualify. These final 4 did not. Brendan Chaberko in the number 19 going to start in the 17th spot, and Tony Bowling in the 3 going to roll off 18th.
And at the back in row number 10, the inside 19th position, the 17 of Frank Busilia, the 3rd, and it's going to be Sean W. Brown accompanying him on the top.
That is your 20 truck field here tonight for Talladega. 75 laps around the 2.66 mile super speedway. These turns banked at a whopping 33 degrees in these at this massive racetrack. The field working their way off of turn number 4. Now the pace car getting ready to duck down onto pit road and getting ready to kick off this race here at Talladega Superspeedway. A quick little update from these past couple weeks now that we have had word. Joshua Hanner joining the Superspeedway Cup North Union team. He's finally got the colors supported on his truck here tonight, so he looks to be a very successful addition to that team. The pace car is now down onto pit road, and the field is in the hands of Terrence Donovan in his number 22 Chevrolet, bringing the field down through the trioval to the start-finish line, stabs the gas, green flag is out, and we are underway at Talladega.
We had a little bit of anticipation on the top. Hunter Bowles in the 29 wanted the 23 of Rod Flagg to get going, and it almost messed him up. Missed time to start from the leaders, and that is going to allow the 24 of Joshua Hanner to assume that second position after starting third. He's going to look to the outside. He's going to get a little bit of a wiggle in the back bumper. That number 22 of Donovan down the back straightaway, but they're going to be single file for now as we work our way down into turn number 3.
Super Speedway Cup in North Union 1, 2, and 3 as they work into turn number 3. These guys looking to be strong here. They supporting the Super Speedway Cup names, so this might be a very strong point in this season, and actually running 4th place right now, the 29 Hunter Bowles. He's a part of the South Rebel Super Speedway Cup team, not an actual teammate of these 3 in front of him, but an associate teammate, so he was probably going to look to help these guys out off of the trioval now. It's going to be Terrence Donovan to lead lap number 1.
Yeah, you see those top 4 basically on the same team. You mentioned it there, so they're just going to kind of ride in line for now. They've opened up a little bit of a gap to 5th place. 5th place is last week's winner, the number 13 of Jeff Backey Jr. right now, 8/10 off. He has now found help with Ray Kingsbury again. Everybody in this lead group of cars is within 3.2 seconds of the leader, and then 17.1 seconds back, 20th position to 28. Matt Kingsbury, who had some issues in inspection and got to the grid late, so he's going to start a little bit behind, but he'll get caught up when the caution flies.
Single file throughout the majority of this field. These guys starting to get in line and just kind of wanting to ride it out. It's a very long race here, 75 laps around this 2.66 mile super speedway. Can take quite a bit. These guys are going to be running around 47-second lap times, 48-second lap times. So do the math. It's quite a long race here. So these guys lining up, getting some laps run, seeing how their trucks feel in the draft to figure out what they need to do to make changes. But right now, the qualifying time's looking very, very strong for those Super Speedway Cup North drivers, and they are looking very, very good so far. Meanwhile, back in the pack off of this group, we got 3 Wide Racing going on. The Super Speedway Cup South Rebel drivers, the 19 and the 17, Brennan Chaberco and Frank Buciali, the third, starting deep in the field. They have worked their way up inside the top 10 already, and they look to tandem up to the rest of the Super Speedway Cup drivers. These guys looking to make a very successful night out of it. One of the Super Speedway Cup teams looking for a championship this season, and looking to repeat after last season. And all of these guys know it. They know that this is a strong point for them, and they're going to try and help out any way possible to try and get this team an advantage heading into these final 2 races after tonight.
Yeah, definitely got to look at the points picture and be smart about this race. Has to take a look back up front. Things starting to get a little more interesting. Those 4 Super Speedway Cup cars are 2 wide, 2 apiece. Here we got a tandem on the inside. You see the 29, Hunter Bowles sticking his nose out, trying to get some air to that engine, maybe running a little bit hot. Then the 13, Jeff Backey Jr., again with help from the 25 of Ray Kingsbury. Those 2 have kind of caught up to this group, so that's why we got about 6 cars here running around for the lead. I don't think they're going to get too aggressive with it because it's still a long way to go.
Indeed, it is. Joshua Hanna, the number 24, going to lead that lap there. Something to watch out for here tonight with the draft. Lots of lead changes, lots of different leaders. So those bonus points for leading the lap definitely going to help out in the total points score for tonight's event. These guys starting to race it up, and just behind them, that tandem of Frank Buciali the third and Brennan Chaberco slowly starting to creep in on this pack of 6 and make it an 8-truck pack, pulling away from the rest of the field. As those 2 make the swap into turn 3 right now. Chaberco going to slip on by, let Buciali hook onto the back of him, and they're 3 wide up in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. The switches going on all throughout the field right now. You don't want to really take any chances with that motor. It's got to last 75 laps. You don't really want to drive it till it's blinking every single time, or it won't make it more than halfway through the race. So drivers being real smart about it. Take a look up front, and it looks like our leaders are going to switch. Rod Flag first position is going to go to the top, so the 29 car, Hunter Bowles, going to go for the pass on the inside. Rod Flag pulls right in on that bumper. A perfectly executed switch for those 2. They're going to end up stalling out the 13 and the 25 on the inside line. Now here comes the 22 of Donovan and a 24 of Hanner on the top.
4 trucks on the bottom, 2 on the top. The 2 on the top trying to propel themselves into the lead. We got some problems further back into the field, though. The number 11 machine in trouble. That is CJ Lavere down on the apron here.
Oh, yeah.
Got the truck back going, though, but he's going to lose a lot of time, and he is all by himself right now.
Yeah, it was actually way back in the trials when they were coming to take lap 6, I do believe. CJ Lavere on the bumper of Jimmy Jones. Jimmy Jones had to check up for a tandem in front of them, and when Lavere didn't get the memo and ended up getting hooked on the bumper of that truck in front of him, got on the apron, got back up onto the bank, and nearly spun it out. Again, that's a really extreme difference from 33 degrees to 0. So he's going to be riding around now in 19th position, 11 seconds off the pack back there with Matt Kingsbury.
It's a tough race for CJ Lavere. This is one track that you do not want to be by yourself at. Not having any drafting help, he's probably going to lose about 2 to 3 seconds a lap to these guys. And if this thing stays green, he is going to be out of contention quicker than you can say Talladega. Meanwhile, back up front, 3 wide racing for the lead, trying to go. That tandem of Frank Bucialia, the third, and Brendan Chaberco has caught the lead pack, so make it an 8-truck pack now racing for the top spots. 6 of these drivers are Super Speedway Cup drivers. Right now, the only 2, Jeff Backey Jr., a Dark Horse Racing driver in the 13 truck, and Last Lap Motorsports driver Ray Kingsbury in the 25, the only 2 in this pack of 8 who are not a part of a Super Speedway Cup team. The only one missing from this equation of the Super Speedway Cup drivers, they have one more. I believe it's Matt Bontempi in the 21, not up. They actually have 2 others. There's one from the South and one from the North Union, not in this pack. Bontempi in the 21, the driver from the North Union, and I believe, actually I'm not too sure who the other one is missing from the South Union. They might only have 3 trucks out here tonight.
And that's got to be kind of a strange situation to put that 13 to 25. You got Jeff Backey Jr. mentioned Dark Horse Motorsports sitting in 3rd, and then Ray Kingsbury pushing with him, but that's not his teammate. That's a Last Lap Motorsports car. And then they're just surrounded by a whole bunch of teammates, so that's kind of an interesting duo there sitting right now in the 3rd and 4th position. We saw a whole bunch of 2 wide kind of when they caught up when we saw Chaberco get up in here. into this pack, and now they're pretty much single filed out, and they're just going to ride for a little bit now that they've caught the lead group. Some switching going on mid-pack. We'll shuffle it up a bit, but we're going to come to take lap 10.
Leading the field down to lap 10, it is going to be the number 23 of Rod Flag. He will take lap number 9, actually lead lap number 9, and now on lap 10. Outside of this pack of 8, about 4 seconds back right now, is the number 2 machine of Sean Brown. He is currently tandeming with teammate Tony Bowling. Those are Crossed Out Motorsports teammates. Just behind them, there's a tandem of Nathan Lamoth and Jimmy Jones. Those guys, Last Lap Motorsports teammates, and then just behind them, a tandem of RSR Outlaw Trucks teammates, which we haven't seen too much of these guys as of late. There's only been 1 or 2 trucks the past couple weeks. That is Bobby Trell and John Abbott. Stephen Cox right now all by himself in 15th. A couple seconds back, though, he has teammate Larry Scott Jr., so maybe they can get some communication across to try and tandem it up. And then other than that, just some single trucks running around the field. But right now, the strongest group is that pack of 8 up front. Now 4.5 seconds ahead of the tandem of Tony Bowling and Sean Brown. So these Super Speedway Cup guys, they definitely know what they are doing. They have done their homework on these kinds of tracks, and they definitely seem to be the strong ones here tonight. I would assume that Ray Kingsbury and the 13 of Jeff Backey Jr. have made note of that, and they should probably feel lucky that they're able to stick with them, because it's a pack of 6 of those Super Speedway Cup drivers, and then those 2 joining on.
Yeah, I'm taking a look in the windshield of Hunter Bowles, and that truck up there would be the 28 of Matt Kingsbury, about to lose his lap again, unintentionally. Did not make the grid, had some troubles in inspection, and they ended up having to start a little bit delayed from the group, started it from pit road, and with no drafting partner, he's 46 seconds back, and unless there's a caution really in the next couple seconds, he's going to lose his lap, along with CJ LaVere, 25 seconds off the pack. If he can't get hooked up with anybody, then he'll lose his lap also, along with Matt Bontempi has lost civilization. He's sitting 18th, 21 seconds back also. So those 3 trucks right now not in the spot that they want to be.
Absolutely not. Evan the Field swallows up Matt Kingsbury, and this might not be a bad thing for Ray Kingsbury. Teammates of Matt Kingsbury, as you see Matt drop down in the middle of the pack just in front of Ray there. So maybe Matt can assist Ray in some teammate drafting help to try to get him to the front. But if a caution does come out, Matt is in the prime position for a lucky dog. CJ LaVere will be the next truck to go a lap down, but he's about 20 seconds away from getting lapped, and only 7 seconds out from Matt Bontempi. So he's got some time here to work with before he gets before LaVere gets lapped. So Kingsbury has some time to kind of play with his options and hope that a caution can come out from there. Right now, unfortunately, though, it looks like Ray Kingsbury, and the 13 of Jeff Backey Jr. have dropped off of that 6-pack of trucks of Super Speedway Cup drivers. So that could be a problem. It could be a problem for Jeff Backey Jr. Actually, these Last Lap Motorsports guys are starting to tandem away from Backey, and Backey could be in trouble in the long road back to that tandem of Jimmy Jones and Nathan Lamoth.
Yeah, definitely, because Matt Kingsbury losing his lap, getting in front of Ray Kingsbury. Now Ray Kingsbury sitting in 7th position. That actually benefits both of them, because that'll allow Ray maybe to catch up to this top group. And then if we stay green for a couple more laps and CJ LaVere eventually loses his lap, then with Kingsbury, Matt Kingsbury that is, having the draft with Ray Kingsbury, he'll be able to maintain to that first car 1 lap down, maybe the lucky dog.
Quite possibly, as they work their way through the trial with number 29, Hunter Bull is going to lead lap 14. 14 laps complete here in the FastTrackRacing.com 200 at Talladega Superspeedway. The ETVLive Team Series taking to the track here tonight. We're going to step away for a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with live coverage from Talladega Superspeedway.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
checkered flag, he wins his first NASCAR iRacing Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Welcome back to the Talladega Superspeedway, the FastTrackRacing.com 200 taking place here tonight for the ETVLive Team Series. 17 laps complete here in tonight's 75-lap event. So far, caution-free throughout the entire thing. At the line that last time by, Hunter Bowles, the number 29 truck, your leader, and currently hanging on to the lead right now, getting a push from the number 23 of Rod Flagg, an associate teammate. Of course, the Superspeedway Cup North Union and the Superspeedway Cup South Rebel working together here tonight to try and maximize points for those two teams. That duo of Matt and Ray Kingsbury were able to tandem up to the back of this pack, so now making it an 8-truck pack. And the number 11 machine of CJ Laverick just going a lap down now, so maybe Laverick can get a hold of the draft at the back of this pack and make it a 9-truck lead battle. A 9-truck pack, actually. 2 of those trucks being a lap down as the swap goes on in front of the field. Rod Flagg takes the lead, and Hunter Bowles now pushing.
Yeah, definitely CJ Lavera, another truck that could possibly lose the lap. Matt Bontempi, the 21, in the corner, just about in front of these leaders. However, he does have help. Stephen Cox has slowed up for him, and they are going to try to do a 2-truck tandem to stay on the lead lap. So Stephen Cox, who is pretty significantly ahead of Matt Bontempi, actually is going to drop all the way back for him and pick him up so that both of them don't lose their lap.
Some strategy going on amongst 2 drivers off of the same team. Stephen Cox, a part of the Dark Horse Racing team. Matt Bontempi, a part of the Superspeedway Cup North Union team. Unfortunately, Bontempi not able to have as much success as his teammates are having right now. Still quite a bit of racing left to go, so if he can get a caution here and look out and get caught back up to the field and see what he can do. But right now we are 19 laps caution-free so far, 75 laps the scheduled distance for tonight's event. So still a lot of racing to go, and I'm sure these guys hoping to catch a break to get back up and be able to compete here tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely keeping it nice, clean and green. That's exactly what these drivers wanted to see in this top pack. They're just going to stay green and just ride around. You see when they switch, I mean, if you're going to see that at the end of the race, maybe someone will give the person a shot in front of them, but you make the switch, go to the top side, go to the back of the group up here of the top 8, and just ride around. I mean, this again, top 8 is his first pack, and then you look back into the 9th position. You have Jimmy Jones, Tony Bowling, Sean Brown. That's the secondary pack of about 4 cars, rather, 2 tandems. They're going to try to make their way up to this lead tandem as well.
Indeed, they are. This pack of 8 still, though, running very strong. Just over 5 seconds ahead of the next group of lead lap trucks. That would be Nathan Lamotte and Jimmy Jones, that tandem of last lap motorsports drivers, currently running 8th and 9th. But right now it is all Superspeedway Cup, which I'm sure a lot of these people who know a lot about the Superspeedway Cup series. It's a series run here on Friday nights on ETVLive. It's right in their name, Superspeedway Cup. It's a Superspeedway league that these guys run in. They have a lot of experience on these Superspeedways, and I know that each and every one of them had this date circled on their calendars, and I'm sure the rest of the field did too, knowing that they were going to be contenders for sure at this event, and they are proving to do that right now, as they currently have 6 of their 8 trucks running up front here tonight. These guys looking to score maximum points, as I believe it is the North Union right now. sitting second in points, just 13 points out of the points lead over the last lap motorsports group. And if it were to stay right now, they would close that gap very considerably. Of course, the Super Speedway Cup team won the championship last season, also took home the Drivers' Championship last season. So these guys, they looking to repeat this season, have a little bit of work to do, but right now they're doing everything that they need to get that points lead back and to head into these final 2 races with a chance at the championship.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still a lot of racing to go. I mean, anything can really happen. Obviously, it's Talladega, so expect the unexpected here. It's interesting to see Busilia, Chaburko again. Those are the 2 that are sitting right now, 1, 2, and those are the. I mean, they are running for the South Rebel, who's 185 points back, so they're kind of out of this championship hunt. But then you do have 2 or 3 of those North Union. And, I mean, they are Super Speedway Cup, so I guess this is their forte, one of the races that they look at on the calendar and circle that and say we better win this thing. And they're doing real good right now.
Indeed they are, Evan. I'm kind of curious how this strategy is going to play out. Obviously, the Super Speedway Cup South Rebel doesn't really have any shot at winning this championship here this season, but their associate teammates in the North Union do. Each and every single point counts. Especially when you're trying to run for a championship, you want to be able to have as big of a gap of a lead as you possibly can. Do you think that the South Rebel drivers are going to try and lay off here? Now, that is if they can keep this strategy going. You think they're going to lay off here and kind of just settle with taking second in the team race here tonight? Or do you think they're going to try and win this race so that they have some sort of confidence towards these later races in the season to try to boost momentum into next season?
I mean, if you were really thinking, they'd probably obviously let their teammates go by to get those extra points at the end of the race. But I'll tell you, when you're coming at Talladega and you're going to see that white flag in the air, you're really not thinking. You're just going. So I think they're obviously going to battle hard for the win. Maybe they'll give those teammates a little bit more room than they would a rival team so that they don't accidentally take each other out. But I think they'd still obviously go for the win, because that's just the racing mentality as we finish lap 25. So we are about a third of the way through this thing.
Definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with these guys. As you had mentioned, 25 laps complete of the 75-lap race, 1/3 of the way through of this 75-lap event in just about 20 minutes here. I've been noticing the times of these guys running in a nice pack. They've been side by side, nicely drafting though, but they haven't really been able to pull away any. That tandem of Nathan Lamoth and Jimmy Jones sitting 8th and 9th. They're still 5 seconds back. They've been 5 seconds back for quite some time. Obviously, they aren't a threat to these guys up front, but they aren't gaining or losing any on that pack.
And that's just one thing. Maybe the pack racing is going to be a little bit slower than the tandem, and you're going to look and this so-called pack that we're talking about is actually consisting of 4 different tandems. But whenever you see a switch, it's going to slow the person down. They're going to hop to the back. So when you look at a practice time, I mean, practice times were nearly a second quicker than what these guys ran last lap. So they're going to not be afraid to let off that gas and just kind of ride in line, make their switches, and really not push all the way around and blow up their engine. So being a little bit more conservative, and I think that's why that group is not too far back. However, they did just lose a second, 8th place of Nathan Lamoth. Is going to lose
Evan,
a second.
We got problems there. The 23 machine of Rod Flagg leading the pack sideways on the apron is able to save it. No caution, an amazing save. And now we actually have another one of those drivers slow. I believe that's the 29 of Hunter Bowles slow.
I think Hunter Bowles is slowing down to pick him up so Rod Flagg doesn't drop back.
That could be. Actually, looks like the 29 has some rear end damage to that truck. So that could be a problem there.
Yeah, they were just riding in line, and I mean, if the back end steps out just a little bit on the exit of that corner, and this track is a lot better at Daytona for that. There's a little bit of a variable banking to get down. Once you get to that double yellow line, there's a little bit lesser banked area before you get to the flat. At Daytona, you go right to the flat, so I think that may have helped Rod Flagg save his truck. And right now, they're currently sitting 7th place. Hunter Bowles, the 29, dropping back with them, so he doesn't obviously drop all the way back and lose his lap. But now showing up right behind him is that the 26, Nathan Lamoth, is now in the picture with the 3 of Tony Bowling as they have caught up to these 2 guys after they've recovered from that almost incident.
A very scary moment there for these Super Speedway Cup drivers, the dominant teams here tonight, nearly having a massive accident in turn number 4. fortunately able to save it, but now the pack has disintegrated. There are trucks all over the place now, and that pack no longer at the front of the field. 28 laps complete here in the FastTrackRacing.com 200 at Talladega Superspeedway. The ETVLive Team Series taking action here at the Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to step away for another quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Join 5,000 plus other listeners where you can hear everything from big 80s metal to classic rock and roll, country radio, ETV Live, sports radio, even adult and unplugged rock and roll. HDRadioNetwork.com, one of the fastest growing internet radio networks, HDRadioNetwork.com. Take it with you, cowboy. Get the mobile app for Android, iPhone, iPad, and all the rest from TuneIn.com.
Welcome back to the ETVLive Team Series. This is FastTrackRacing.com 200 at Talladega Superspeedway. 30 laps complete, about to be 31 complete here. The current leader right now is making a pass, actually the 25 machine of Ray Kingsbury, side by side with the 24 of Terrence Donovan as they work their way through the tri-oval. Who is going to lead lap number 31? Looks like it is going to be, I think it was Joshua Hanner. It was by 0.03 of a second. A big moment playing just before the commercial break there. We had an 8-truck pack, 6 Super Speedway Cup drivers and then the 2 Last Lap Motorsports drivers. Rod Flagg getting twisted sideways off of turn number 4, hit the apron, was fortunately able to save the truck, but unfortunately broke up that pack, and now the lead pack is up to down to 4 drivers now. That would be Joshua Hanner and Terrence Donovan, North Super Speedway Cup North Union teammates, and Last Lap Motorsports teammates of Ray Kingsbury and Matt Kingsbury. Matt Kingsbury in the 28, sitting 1 lap down right now, just trying to help out teammate Ray Kingsbury, try to see how he is going to be able to do throughout this race. The number 13 machine, as you just saw, Jeff Bankey Jr. was running up with this field. Unfortunately fell off the draft and just went a lap down to this 4-truck pack. The rest of the drivers currently sitting 3.8 seconds out of the lead draft, with the Last Lap Motorsports tandem of Nathan Lamoth and Hunter Bowles sitting 6.3 seconds off of the leaders.
And that's really a tough break for Jeff Backey Jr. He was up with this lead group, but then Matt Kingsbury, who went a lap down, hooked up with his teammate, Ray Kingsbury. And that's really what left that 13 of Backey Jr. Without a partner, because that's kind of a risk you got to take if you're in a racing that's so detrimental to, you really need that 2-car tandem.
Indeed, it is, Evan. There, it's very quick for things to change here. You can be up on top at one moment and then drop down to the very bottom in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately, Jeff Backey Jr. seeing that. Literally, he is now down to 19th place, second to last truck running right now, after being in the top 5 with that lead pack. 20 trucks started tonight's event. All 20 are still out on the racing surface. 17 trucks on the lead lap. Matt Kingsbury, Jeff Backey Jr., C.J. Levere, all 1 lap down, 18th through 20th. Right now, the 4-truck pack has the number 24 of Joshua Hanner out in front, leading teammate Terrence Donovan. Evan, you should be thinking that pit stops are going to be coming up soon, and with how important this draft is, pit stops are going to be even more important to be as clean as possible to be able to get back out with your teammates.
And you want to be real smooth, too. The 22 of Terrence Donovan's running at 200 miles an hour. down the back straightaway, and you don't really think that's a fast speed for Talladega, but these trucks are not as fast as the Gen 6 cars. So these guys have really figured out this draft. But yeah, when you come down for those pit stops, you're going to have to come down almost side by side with your drafting partner, not hit each other, get it down to speed, and make sure you're on the same page. Probably no tires, maybe throw 2 on there, but fill it up with gas and leave right together so that you don't really have to check up for each other on the exit. Because I've seen some restrictor plate racetracks, races where the 2 guys come down and they'll be separated by 8 seconds because of miscommunication, and that's how they lose the race.
Very important to be on top of your game here at these super speedways when it comes to pit stop strategy. We had mentioned a little earlier that the tandem of Matt Bontempi and Stephen Cox got together to try to stay on their on the lead lap. Unfortunately, that is not working as they are slowly starting to back up 2 of these leaders. They're running the high side, making a switch right now in turn 3 just in front of the lead pack. So unfortunately, that strategy was not able to work. I gotta say though, I'd be a little worried if I'm Stephen Cox right now. 2 Super Speedway Cup North Union drivers running 1-2 right now. Your drafting partner is a Super Speedway Cup North Union driver. I would think that he is going to try and work with those guys and might leave Steven out to dry. However, they did just relap CJ Lavere, so maybe if they do drop off, maybe Lavere and Cox can get together and try to keep the draft up themselves.
And that's what happened to Backy, so I'm going to take a look here. The 21's going to stay with the 14 for now. I did see, I mean, again, the fastest times in practice was Rod Flag, Terrence Donovan, Brandon Chaburko. That was a 3-truck trio bump draft around. So, I mean, a 21 could try to hook onto them, but then again, it's a lot harder for that truck in tow to stay with those 2 trucks there. So now you see the 14 and 21 are sitting in between the 2 lead tandems here, trying to hold on to their laps. So if a caution were to come out, they'd be there. Now we have our first green flag pit stops as a 26 car, as announced. Nathan Lamoth, 9th place, is down on pit road with his teammate.
So the first green flag pit stops occurring on lap number 37. Nathan Lamoth, Jimmy Jones, the 26 and 27 trucks, coming down pit road, getting ready to take some service here. As you had mentioned, it's a little bit risky taking 4 tires here. You can probably get a full can of fuel in just about in the same amount of time, but it might take a couple seconds extra to get those 4 tires switched. Nathan Lamoth taking 2 right side tires as well as
and that
Jimmy
was
Jones,
well executed.
so they will leave the indeed. They will come out of the pit road together. Some more trucks coming down on the pit road. I'm hearing the number 3 machine, Tony Bowling, also working his way down pit road. I believe the lead tandem there of Last Lap Motorsports trucks down on pit road as well. Matt Kingsbury, Ray Kingsbury, and all the Super Speedway Cup guys on pit road right now.
Oh yeah, take a look around 100 balls. You got the 29, the 23, the 19, the 17. So all of the Super Speedway Cup drivers are going to come down pit road. And again, we saw the first guys that came down got 2 tires. So let's see how these guys negotiate as they'll pull into their pit stalls.
Looking at when these guys are pitting, Evan, they're pitting about lap 37 to 39 here. That's right around halfway. And if this thing stays green, this could be a very close race on fuel if these guys are going to be able to make it. So I would think the later these guys pit, the better off they are. 75 laps, halfway is about 37, 38 laps. So this could be very interesting if this thing stays green to see who is going to be able to make it if they're trying to go on a one-stop strategy.
And definitely in some trucks that were a little bit more off of the pace, when they come down to make their pit stops, they could lose a lap. So again, we hate to see this happen, but sometimes in races a caution flag will fly in the middle of green flag pit stops, and they'll just completely mess with everybody and send a whole bunch of people that have fast race trucks a lap down. And I think really once we saw those first 2 trucks pit, everybody else has, including Joshua Hanner in the 24 and the 22 of Terrence Donovan, have come down and made their stops. So the 2 leaders have also come down pit road. So I think once we saw 2 trucks come down, it's really triggered this whole chain of green flag pit stops.
Very important to pit with a friend, whether it's a teammate or not. With the draft being so important, you have to be able to come down and pit with somebody. Looks like these 2 are going to be able to come out on top. I believe that is Matt Bontempi and Stephen Cox behind them coming out of the pits, and it looks like Terrence Donovan and Joshua Hanner had a bit of a gap on those Last Lap Motorsports teammates of Ray and Matt Kingsbury, so it looks like they were able to execute their pit stop better, and they now have a gap out in front.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to see everything shuffle out, probably return to something similar that we were looking at before green flag pit stops. But one thing that this will do is it seems that it's really eliminated any sort of large pack. The 22, Terrence Donovan, shown the leader right now. We're going to cross the stripe, and the scoring will update it, and he is. So the 22 and the 24, Joshua Hanner, pretty much the last trucks to pit out of the leaders, and they're going to hold on to that lead for now by about 1.7 seconds over Ray Kingsbury.
That tandem just took the number 3's lead lap away. Tony Bowling dropping now a lap down. He lost contact with teammate Sean Brown. Possibly a mistake on pit row there, maybe having to serve a penalty. Either way, Tony Bowling now at 1 lap down. He will join Stephen Cox and Matt Bontempi for the race for the lucky dog position now, as they kind of work their way into that pack just in front of the last lap motorsports teammates. We'll see if that pack of 5 can run down those leaders and make it interesting there to try to shake up the battle for the lead a little bit. Behind that pack of 5, we have the tandem of Hunter Bowles and Rod Flagg. They are currently sitting 3.2 seconds off of the leaders, so they made up some time there off that last pit stop. They were about 5 or 6 seconds back when they made it, when they came in, so they cut their margin in half. They're not that far off of that pack of 5 in front of them, so maybe they can make it a 7-truck pack and try to run down that tandem of Joshua Hanner and Terrence Donovan for the lead.
Yeah, Ray Kingsbury right now sitting in 3rd, still drafting obviously with his teammate Matt Kingsbury, who's been a lap down and is no longer, after things have cycled out, no longer the lucky dog. I think when they come by the stripe, he will reassume that position, but the 2 cars that are bump drafting behind him and his teammate are trying to pass him for that lucky dog position, as a caution could still fly as we are on lap 43 of 75, so still a lot of racing to go, but we're on the downhill side of things at this point.
Indeed we are, Evan, and I'm sure the majority of these drivers, especially after these pit stops, having some people kind of spread out apart now, they're probably set in that, getting into that mindset that this race may go caution-free the entire time. We have seen bumper grab issues in the past, though, with SuperSpeedway racing. There's always that fact in the back of these guys' minds. And with these tandems kind of being closely separated out, if these guys really work together, they can make this a big pack. So, you know, anything can happen, and it probably will here at Talladega Superspeedway. It's just a game of guessing, and you can never really predict what's going to happen. You know, I'm sure these guys probably weren't expecting a 43-lap plus green flag run.
I wasn't.
To open up the race. Yeah, I wasn't either. I would have expected some sort of problem to go, but these guys showing their strength on the Superspeedway, putting on a great show right now, getting these laps winded down with just about 30 laps to go in this race. And it's going to be interesting to see how these guys can group up, what's going to happen here for the rest of this event.
And it's not that Talladega hasn't presented its ongoing issues. You mentioned the bumper grab there, someone getting loose, get spun out, or get hooked around on the back bumper of somebody else. We've seen that happen, obviously, with the Rod Flagg. Some of the cars that went a lap down may have gotten loose, got shot to the apron. The only reason that didn't really bring out a caution is because they didn't wreck it, because once that actually happened, the 2-car tandem has really separated it out, so we weren't in a big group. So once someone got loose, there was room for error, and that's, I think, why we're still green right now.
Absolutely, and you know, the mistakes aren't towards anybody in particular. I mean, that incident happened between teammates nonetheless. So it's when you're racing at 200 miles an hour plus with trucks just less than inches away from each other, the slightest mistake can cause a massive problem, no matter who you're racing with or who you are out on the racetrack. The big one will claim anybody and anyone it sees in its path. Joshua Hanner, Terrence Donovan, the lead tandem right now as they work their way through the tri-oval to complete lap number 45. 30 laps to go in this 75-lap event, the FastTrackRacing.com 200 at Talladega Superspeedway. The ETVLive Team Series going on right now, race number 10 of 12 in this season. We're going to step away and take another quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back to bring you live coverage from the 2.66-mile Superspeedway. Welcome back to the Talladega Superspeedway, the ETV Live series. This FastTrackRacing.com 200 taking place here tonight. So far, caution-free throughout 47 laps of racing. This race 75 laps in length, and currently right now Joshua Hanner and Terrence Donovan, your race leaders, but they have some company, and look at who it is. Rod Flagg in the 23 machine with help from associate teammate the 29 of Hunter Bowles back to the front. Rod Flagg not that long ago was sitting sideways at a 45-degree angle coming out of turn 4, and now has run his way back up to the lead, and he has some friends with him. It's about 8 trucks now within a second here, trying to close up and make it a big pack. Looks like they're going to be able to do that easily, and Hunter Bowles and Rod Flagg looking to the outside of Terrence Donovan and Joshua Hanner in turn number 1.
Yeah, definitely working through turns 1 and 2. The 29 you see in line, the 23 Rod Flagg. How about the driving by that? You mentioned he was 45 degrees off in turn 4. And it's not just that, it's the fact that he really had to get on the brakes or walk it up to save that thing, lost a lot of speed, and next thing we know, he's still up here with the leader. So great execution by that 23 team along with the 29 to get themselves back in contention. It's an interesting battle also. They're also battling for the lead up here, obviously. 5th place, 25, Ray Kingsbury. But there's a secondary battle in this group of 8 cars because Kingsbury's drafting partner is the other Kingsbury, Matt Kingsbury. He's the first car 1 lap down, but right behind them coming up now. 16th position to 21, Matt Bontempi, working with the 14 of Stephen Cox. Those 3 cars being the 28, 21, 14. So that's a separate battle for the first car to be 1 lap down.
The 2 machine of Sean Brown just went a lap down to the leaders. We saw Sean and teammate Tony Bowling working together just before the pit stops, but unfortunately those two had some problems with each other. Sean Brown got into Tony Bowling while they were on pit road, unfortunately spinning the 3 machine to Tony Bowling around. Tony got the worst end of that. We saw him go a lap down about 10 laps or so ago. Sean Brown just went a lap down, so a mistake amongst teammates costing both of them. And we had mentioned about that before, Evan. Pit stops at this track are going to be super, super important, and unfortunately those 2 guys made a mistake, and it cost them dearly.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you're got to wind that thing down from 200 miles an hour to the pit road speed limit around 55. Oh, big wiggle now. 25, Kingsbury down below the yellow line to avoid the 29 truck of Hunter Bowles, who had to make a switch with Rod Flagg. That's going to check up those 2, which is going to allow the 14 truck of Stephen Cox and 21 of Matt Bontempi to actually go around the 28 of Matt Kingsbury, who's been drafting with Ray Kingsbury, who's sitting in 5th. So now those 2, the 14 right now, is now the lucky dog. So again, 2 battles. We got the battle for the win and the battle for the first car lap down if caution were to come out going on all inside of each other. So it's real interesting as the 21-14 look to make a switch.
22 and 24 swap up front here for the lead. That's going to be Terrence Donovan now. Rod Flagg and Hunter Bowles came up on that switch, interrupted that, so that had to force Donovan up the racetrack to get Hanner and to complete that swap. Now they work their way back down to the bottom of the track as they enter turn number 3 here. Matt Bontempi, Stephen Cox still working very strongly together after the pit stops. They are both 1 lap down, racing with this lead pack, trying to figure out who's going to be the lucky dog, and if they can't actually power by the leaders here and time it correctly, to try to get both of them on the lead lap and see if luck out for Matt Kingsbury to get his lap back. As these guys coming out to complete lap number 52, 23 laps remaining. Incredible racing by all these guys to run 52 laps caution-free around Talladega so far. That's just under 43 minutes of caution-free racing. These guys have had about 15 seconds worth of a break to relax and calm down under their pit stop. But other than that, they have been on the wheel, driving their butts off, trying to get as best of a finish that they can for the team. And right now, the SuperSpeedway Cup, you guys doing that best, having, let's see, I believe 5 trucks up front right now in that stable. Yep, 5 trucks. Well, actually 4 trucks. Matt Bontempi's a lap down, but 5 of their trucks in the lead pack right now. 4 of them actually racing for position. And right now it's the SuperSpeedway Cup at North Union looking strong. Actually all 3 of the scoring positions first, second, and fourth right now. So that is huge considering they are 13 points out of the championship lead heading into tonight's event. We've seen the Last Light Motorsports guys tonight, but we haven't seen much of a big bang from them. Only one of their drivers right now sitting in the top 5. The other one of them a lap down, and Nathan Lamoth and Jimmy Jones running 8th and 9th. So right now they would probably be setting up to lose the points lead if things were to finish the way they are right now. That's going to give them some work to do in these final races.
And definitely, and it looks like there's a lot more shuffling going on up front, and that's really just because the drivers are constantly making their switches. But even when you guys are just riding single file there on the bottom, it's really not like you can just put one hand on the wheel and cruise, because if you want to have a nice smooth line around this track and stay right on that bumper of your teammate without spinning them out and get optimal speed, it takes a lot of concentration, and that's why this race, being 75 laps at Talladega, is such a mentally demanding race. Oh, the big incident, 21! Wiggle in the back, wow. They just stacked up there on the bottom. Matt Von Tempe. 21 is into the 28 or something, wow. They just look like a checkup on the inside. I'm going to take a look at the replay. 29, Hunter Bowles. Hunter Bowles pulled down to get behind Rod Flag, and I think the 21 may have checked up for that incident. And the 14 spun Hammond, and I guess the 28 checked up. And 25 Kingsbury didn't get the memo, and the 21 and the 25 got really loose and went down to the apron, and there's another shakeup. We were just saying if the race finishes right now, and then now we're starting to spread back out up front after another really close incident. I don't know how they didn't wreck that, so great job by everybody for keeping that pointed relatively forward and staying on the green.
Absolutely incredible save by Matt Bontempi to keep it off of the other trucks around him. We stay green. Unfortunately, Bontempi dropping way off the pace, but an absolutely amazing save. I don't know how they did that. Half of that pack was sideways in the middle of turns 1 and 2, but somehow, some way they were able to hang on, and we stay green. Flag Racing, the field coming around to complete lap number 56. 19 laps to go here in the FastTrackRacing.com 200 in the ETVLive Team Series right now. Hunter Bowles dropping down to the apron, the 29 machine. Something's up with that 29. He is dropping off the pace and losing unbelievable amounts of time.
He may have blown an engine, I'm not too sure, but he is coasting on the apron, losing speed. I'm going to see if I hear any throttle in his cockpit, and it sounds like he is just coasting. He may have had an engine blow.
Huge problems for Hunter Bowles and the 29 machine, dropping off pace. And
he was running
second. Engine problem. Yeah, running second nonetheless. That is a tough break for Hunter. Hunter had a very rough week last week at Darlington Raceway, getting caught up in multiple accidents. And looking at his truck right now, I don't think he's going to make it back to the pit road here. I don't know if he's off to the inside. Maybe he can pull it into one of the emergency vehicle exits, or maybe the officials won't bring out the caution flag for him. We'll figure out what's going to happen. Looks like we're going to stay green, though, but a tough break for Hunter Bowles.
Yeah, he got all the way down there to stay out of the way, and that's just a tough break. They're going to have to get that tow truck there, pull him through the infield back to the garage. And, I mean, almost lucky, you could say that was a SuperSpeedway Cup South truck, because if that was a North Union after having the great day that they got going on right now, that would have been a tough break also. Another update to number 3 of Tony Bowling having some issues, and they have pulled that truck to the garage, and they are done for the day. So Bowling's going to finish in that 20th position at the back of the field.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Tony Bowling. As we had mentioned, he was running with teammate Sean Brown in a tandem inside the top 10, but when that team went and made their pit stop, unfortunately the two got together. Tony Bowling ended up spinning around and lost a ton of time. They ended up getting separated, couldn't find a drafting partner, and was running around all by himself. Something amiss underneath the hood of that number 3 machine, as he is done for the day. He's going to pick up the 20th place. And I gotta say though, to have actually everybody running throughout 2/3 of this race without a dropout, that's pretty impressive. Tony Bowling, the first driver to drop out about just after lap 50. So 2/3 of this race being completed, and not a single driver out of the race up until this point. That's pretty impressive. Actually, now we're just getting word the 3 truck pulling off due to the damage that he had with the 2 truck and being so far off the pace. He decided that he didn't really have any other chance, so he pulled the truck off to save money for the team, and decided to step out of the machine for the night. A tough break for that number 3.
Yeah, definitely. And with so many trucks a lap down, it's great. Even if they're by themselves, I see some solo trucks still driving around, trying to log some laps here, which is good. Maybe try to get anything that they can. And I mean, after we saw those green flag pit stops, the pack went away. We saw the 2-car tandem separated by a second or so. Everybody grouped up, and then we nearly had a big incident up front. 2 cars ended up going down to the apron. They didn't wreck, but they lost a whole bunch of time. And now that's really spread things back out. Hanner and Donovan are the up front by themselves. 1, 2, the 24 and the 22. Ray Kingsbury is now sitting in the 3rd position, being shown last time, but he's actually sitting 4th right now. He is hooked onto the back bumper of Steven Cox in the 14. So he's going to try to bump draft with Cox to get back up to the leaders, because he was drafting with Matt Kingsbury, but Kingsbury was sent to the apron in that incident.
Yeah, it's very important for Ray Kingsbury to be able to get back up and try to contend and win this race. The Last Lap Motorsports team headed into tonight's event with a 13-point lead over the SuperSpeedway Cup North Union, and running top 2 right now are SuperSpeedway Cup North Union drivers. Sitting in 4th place is a 3rd SuperSpeedway Cup North Union driver. So that would be a 1-2-4 finish for the 2nd place points drivers. It's been a rough night for the Last Lap Motorsports guys. Matt Kingsbury failed tech inspection, had to go back through the line, and unfortunately missed the start of this race. Not having a single caution, can't take advantage of that in any way. So that hurt the team right off the bat. Jimmy Jones and Nathan Lamotte, they've been working very well together throughout the entire night, but they are running 7th and 8th place right now, nowhere near that lead pack and the front of the front of the pack all night. So this could be a huge turnaround for the points and make this battle even closer. The Dark Horse Racing guys, they have struggled here tonight, so that they will probably lose some points and make it a little bit harder. We've seen those guys be so dominant and so successful throughout this past few weeks. The SuperSpeedway throwing a curveball in their strategy and not being able to execute very well here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. That's really going to shake things up. And with only 2 races, you really can't afford a major mistake that would lose you a significant amount of points, because at that point, you're really going to have to hope that the people in front of you in points have an error. And with only 2 races left, even if those teams that are sitting in front of you in the points just have a solid night, even if you finish up front, it still might not be enough. So you really got to get everything you can out of here. You still got to be smart. Points race. Don't put yourself in a predicament that you don't want to be in, a not smart one, and possibly get yourself wrecked. But you still got to go up there and get as many points as you can.
Indeed, they do. It's very important to rack up as many points as possible this late in the season. Winding down to a close here at the FastTrackRacing.com 200 at Talladega Superspeedway for the ETVLive Team Series. 11 laps to go this time by. We still got to make one more commercial break, so we're going to take that one quickly right now, and we will be back to bring you to the finish of this event. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
listeners where you can hear everything from big 80s metal to classic rock and roll, country radio, ETVLive, sports radio, even adult and unplugged rock and roll. HDRadioNetwork.com, one of the fastest growing internet radio networks, HDRadioNetwork.com. Take it with you, cowboy. Get the mobile app for Android, iPhone, iPad, and all the rest from TuneIn.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the FastTrackRacing.com 200 at Talladega Superspeedway for the ETVLive Team Series. We currently have 8.5 laps to go, and right now it looks like for the win, it's going to come down to Superspeedway Cup North Union teammates Terrence Donovan and Joshua Hanner. They currently have a 6.5 second lead over Ray Kingsbury, and with the way things are shaping up right now, this thing will go green to the end, and these two teammates will be able to duke it out for the win here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously not too late. A caution definitely could come out, but with the laps winding down after 67 laps of green flag racing, I would not have expected them to make it this far. Ray Kingsbury not having too much luck bump drafting with the lap car, the 14 of Stephen Cox. So it looks like the laps are going to wind down. It's going to be a two-car battle up front.
It's going to be interesting to see what these guys decide to do. They have a big enough lead to where they could probably afford to race each other hard to see who really wants that win, and if they do end up crashing across the line, they could still end up finishing 1-2. They have a 7-second gap over Ray Kingsbury right now, and it's slowly been increasing over the last few laps. I want to go back a little bit further in the field. 16 seconds off the pack right now. We have Rod Flagg and Frank Buciali, the third, running 4th and 5th. Those guys are tandeming each other, and just behind them, Jimmy Jones and Nathan Lamoth running 6th and 7th. Right now, they are duking it out for position, and I'm sure that Jimmy Jones and Nathan Lamoth, they understand how important it is for those guys to get up and try to finish 4th and 5th here to try to salvage point gain, especially considering the fact that Rod Flagg is the third scoring driver for that Superspeedway Cup North Union team, and if he does hang on to finish 4th, that could probably guarantee the Superspeedway Cup North Union to win this race. And obviously with those guys sitting second in points to the Last Light Motorsports team, those Last Light Motorsports guys do not want that to happen at all.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a tough situation at a restrictor plate racetrack where they're sitting there riding along with their drafting partner, knowing that there's really nothing that they can do to catch up to those guys. It's really their race to lose up front, and it's such a helpless feeling for them knowing that they could possibly lose the points lead from this and then really have to battle to get back in there. So tough ride for them, but they're going to try to finish, maybe pick up 1 or 2 spots, whatever they can, and try to move on to next week at Richmond and still be in contention to battle, as there are still 2 races left in the season, so it's not like they're going to lose it here.
Absolutely not. With this top 3 being separated by 31 points, the gap is short enough to where they can rebound if they have some problems here tonight, and they can come back strong next week at Richmond. A short track, a 3/4 mile short track up next for these drivers. So a big swing in differences from this week to next week. It should be interesting to see how that plays out with how the point settings are going to shift from tonight's event. And looking up front, it looks as though those top 2 guys are still pulling away from Ray Kingsbury. The gap now just over 8 seconds. So it's definitely going to be between Terrence Donovan and Joshua Hanner to figure this one out. And as it stands right now with 4.5 laps to go, if they get a caution flag, the race is probably going to be over. If they make it to the white flag, they will be able to race it out. So it should be interesting to see who they decide is going to pick up the win. If they're just going to push each other to the finish, it doesn't matter. Or if they're actually going to try and fight it out. I know if it were me, I would try to fight it out. Being 8.5 seconds ahead of the next position, if you wreck, you can probably still make it to the finish line 1-2. And it wouldn't really hurt anything. But, it'll be interesting to see what these guys decide to do. If they risk it or not with being as well as they are in the points. It's just going to come down to that moment to see what they do.
Yeah, I really don't see them just pushing each other across the line and no challenge. I can guarantee probably that the other car is second pushing the leader off turn 4. When they go into the trial, he'll probably step out either to the inside or to the outside I think they'll just give each other a lot more room. It won't be as competitive as you'd see. They're not going to get right on each other's side to get that side draft, possibly wreck each other. But I do think that they're going to probably make a challenge for the lead as laps continue to wind down.
Well, right now we got Terrence Donovan in the lead off of a swap. 3 laps to go. I'm going to guess that they're going to have to make one more swap before the end of this race. I don't see these guys being able to push for 3 laps straight. And also what I had mentioned while they made pit stops, it'll be interesting to see if they do have enough fuel to be able to make it. These guys pit around halfway, so you know it's teeter-tottering on whether they're going to be able to make it or not from here on out. If they will be able to make it to the finish line under full power, if they're going to have to coast. Right now they've got a 10-second lead over Ray Kingsbury, so if they do end up running out of fuel, they could coast back and not lose anything. We'll just have to wait and see, but all I know is that it may only be down to 2 trucks, but it's still going to be exciting to see what happens.
Well, they're going to come by the stripe at almost 200 miles an hour to take 2 laps to go here. The maximum capacity crowd at Talladega Superspeedway of 175,000 people starting to rise to their feet so they can get a good view of this thing when it comes down to the finish, because it's going to be 2 guys going one-on-one for this win. It should be entertaining as we go into turn 3. They're going to be looking for that white flag.
Terrence Donovan currently leading Joshua Hanner as they work their way down into turn number 3. It's up to these 2 guys to figure out who is going to win it. 1-2 finishes for this team going to help them immensely in the points. Could give them a shot at this championship, put them in heading into next week's race at Richmond through the trial. White flag is in the air. 1 more left to go here at Talladega.
It is the number 22, Terrence Donovan, sitting in front right now. The 24, Joshua Hanner, in tow in the 2nd position, continuing to put the draft. I don't think we're going to see a switch anymore, and it's going to come up to if that 24 of Hanner can get it done, and when he will step out. The 22, Terrence Donovan, running that middle line. Kingsbury in 3rd now, 11 seconds off, so it's all these 2 to the finish, and let's see how it goes. They're pretty much racing for bragging rights here. We're in turns 3 and 4, and we're looking for the checker. 24 to the top.
Joshua Hanner moves to the top side off at turn number 4. We're going to try the side draft on teammate Terrence Donovan to try to pick up the win. It looks like it's going to work for right now. He's got the edge through the tri-oval. Joshua Hanner, Terrence Donovan side by side. Hanner with the advantage out of the tri-oval. It's going to be Josh Hanner to win at Talladega. A strong comeback after last week's upset misfortune after such a strong run in the beginning. He takes home the checker flag here tonight, heading back to the battle for 4th place, just about ready to cross the line. It's going to be the Superspeedway Cup guys to come home 4th and 5th. Rod Flag coming home 4th after Ray Kingsbury crossing the line in 3rd. Rod Flag 4th. Frank Busialia the 3rd and 5th. Nathan Lamoth in 6th. Jimmy Jones 7th. Larry Scott Jr. Dropping the 9th place after that last lap. Larry Mulligan 8th. And it looks like John Abbott and Brennan Chaburko racing to the line. John Abbott gets 10th. Bobby Terrell 11th. And Brennan Chaburko 12th. The lead lap trucks.
And a great move by Joshua Hanner. Typically, you'll see him going into the tri-oval, they'll step out. And I always thought that they should do it off turn 4, and Hanner did it perfectly, because when he went to that high side there, he got the run down the hill, and evidently that's really what gave Terrence Donovan really no chance to battle with Hanner, because once Hanner got up next, and the side draft wasn't enough for Donovan to get back around.
A tough break last week for Joshua Hanner. He had such a hard luck battle. He was racing so strong at the beginning of last week's event, leading the majority, and then unfortunately getting taken out in an accident. Definitely would have been able to contend last week. Unfortunately enough, it wasn't the case. But Joshua Hanner comes back strong this week, a new driver to the series, and he comes back to pick up his first win here at Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to step away very quickly, and we will be back to get some interviews with these top guys. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
as he comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Ladies and gentlemen, the race finishing up here. Caution-free event at Talladega Superspeedway. 75 laps without an incident. Incredible race by these guys. I believe 18 of the 20 finished tonight's event, so that is a strong performance by these ETVLive Team Series drivers. Right now, though, we're going to send it down trackside with Evan Pasoko. He has caught up with Frank Buciali III, coming home 5th place tonight, the top finisher for the Super Speedway Cup South Rebel team. Evan, take it away.
And that's right down here on pit road with Frank Buciali III again. Frank, you're going to come home 5th place. A long race and a short one at that. It got finished a lot quicker, but with no cautions. Were you guys expecting that?
I guess usually when you come to Talladega, there's big junk, but the field got spread out so early, so quickly, and it was just like 6 or 8 of us running up front for a while. So yeah, I guess it's a little surprising, but it's still fun to go caution free.
And definitely, and talk us through going down pit road. Obviously, that's another tricky thing to do here at Talladega. You got to go down right with your teammate. How did that work out for you guys when you pitted around lap 38?
It was great because we do it on a weekly basis in our truck series, so there was no big deal with that, just routine stuff like normal.
And definitely, with your team sitting a little bit more back in the points, you pretty much just out here hunting for a win?
Well, that, and I mean, our main goal was to help the Super Speedway North. I know they were a few points back coming into the night, so anything we could do to help them out. I know Brandon had some damage from a little earlier in the race, so I picked Rod up, and glad I was. We were able to get 3 of the top 4 anyway for the North guys, so that was good.
And definitely, well, solid top 5. Who makes it happen for you?
Rod Flag and all the whole team, the North and the South, Super Speedway Cup, and ETV, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, great night out. Now, I do believe, Kyle Young, you have caught up with the 25 of Ray Kingsbury.
Indeed, I have, Evan. Thank you. Ray Kingsbury sitting down here with me, the top finisher for the Last Lap Motorsports guys, coming home in 3rd place. A good finishing spot for you, Ray, but unfortunately not the case for your team. You found yourself running by yourself for the most part. You were able to work with Matt a little bit. Unfortunately, he was a lap down. Probably a little bit frustrating. You guys got some work to do heading into next week. Talk about your night.
I think it was a pretty good night for us. 3rd, 6th, and 7th on a super speedway. We'll take that any day because it could have been last, or about that way. So I think we'll take the points and we'll look towards next week. I led a lap, so I got a bonus point there, and they're 13 points back, so that they're gonna close, maybe even pass us by a point or 2. But I think we can try to close the gap at Richmond and Miami, based on what we saw today. There's gonna be a lot of green flag racing, and hopefully we fixed our mistakes from the past 2 weeks. We've had a rough past 2 weeks where we took our own teammates out, by accident. But everything's looking good. We're here for fun. This is a video game, so he does a great job. Thanks to them for everything.
Talk about how close the points are going to be. We actually have updates now. You guys are sitting 6 points out of the lead now to the Super Speedway Cup in North Union. They have overtaken you. The gap is 6 points heading into next week's event at Richmond. It's a short track. How are your guys' short track program, and do you think that you will be able to contend and have something for those guys next week?
Well, Richmond's my favorite track personally in the late model, so hopefully that translates over here. Matt's pretty good at New Hampshire. He showed a pretty good pace, so looks like he's doing all right on the flat tracks. He can keep his nose clean. Hopefully we can make those 6 points back up and stay clean, and hopefully people don't crash in front of us. Fortunately, we had couple people from SS South and North get tangled in front of us that checked Matt up, and Matt lost it, and that's ultimately what resulted in the 2 guys from SS North walking away with it because they were they're really quick, and Matt disconnected, and I hooked up with Steven. Big shout out to him for helping me out. He had a fast truck, but there were some lag issues there. We couldn't get connected like we wanted to.
You mentioned racing around the Super Speedway Cup, guys. There were so many Super Speedway Cup drivers around you the entire night. Talk about how that is, and I'm sure it was difficult to try to race and try to get around them with them being so strong.
They're a very good team. They race pretty clean. They made a couple controversial moves. Bontempi and Hunter Bulls had pulled down in front of us when we were. I was tucked up behind my teammate. I couldn't see anything. By the time I checked up, I slammed the brakes, but there's nothing I can do. So, when you got that many trucks up there, I don't know if I would try that, but they were racing hard and doing a good job at it. And so hard to beat 8 trucks or whatever they had up there, but we were just hanging in there hoping for the best. And they kind of got into each other. Eventually, it was like a 4-truck breakaway, and unfortunately, Rod and I think Terrence had caught up to us, me and Matt, or maybe it was Frank, and they caught up to us when we were out of the pits because we didn't practice green flag pit stops because we thought it'd be a wreck fest. So maybe we should practice our green flag pit stops, and clearly the SS guys did, and they dominated us there and gained a couple seconds.
A bit of a defeat here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway for the Last Lap Motorsports Group. Ray, you got a lot of teammates, got a lot of help to get you guys where you've been so far this season. Who would you like to thank?
We really got to thank NRT Game Servers, Rev Media Hub, Fanaleds, Mercer Stitches, and Tickler Computers. They've helped our guys out with practice credits, so we can put our own sessions up. Got our awesome paint jobs that we at Rev Media Hub converted from our road course cars, and they look pretty cool, I think. Just a great group of guys. Jimmy's out there sticking it out, doing a real good job. He's got a good attitude, very positive attitude. Nathan came on board late on the season from our LFS team, and he's done a great job adapting to the oval side of things. Matt has been really aggressive, but he's been really fast, so we're hoping that he can gather that all together and do well. And then there's me, who's just been back in the shadows, driving conservatively for the most part, causing a couple wrecks, that I'm sorry to, say, but doing a good job overall, and that's what's got me in third in the points. So I'm hoping that I can keep the run going and see where it goes from here.
Ray Kingsbury comes home third place here tonight at Talladega for the team. The team finishing in second place with a total of 128 points here tonight. Unfortunately, losing 19 points to the Super Speedway Cup North Union, and they find themselves 6 points out of the lead in second place, heading into next week's event at Richmond. Evan, I believe you're in Victory Lane getting ready to celebrate with a very, very happy Joshua Hanner.
Yeah, definitely the 24 car. Joshua Hanner climbing out of his number 24 Chevrolet Silverado is going to come and take the win here at Talladega. Obviously driving for the Super Speedway Cup North Union, and he's going to help his team get to the overall points win tonight and put them in the lead in the point standings. Joshua, 75 laps at Talladega with no cautions. What were you anticipating coming into tonight?
Well, I was kind of anticipating at least 1 or 2 cautions. I didn't think we would have a green flag pit stop, but I was definitely happy when we practiced that on a weekly basis. So me and Terrence were able to kind of get out there, and I think we gained a second or 2 on Ray and them, and that was kind of, in my mind, what sealed the deal for us there.
And definitely, and talk us through the race. We saw a couple of little incidents, no wrecks though. Everyone managed to keep it pointed forward, and then pitting here, you got to come down with your teammate. Everything was nice and smooth for you all race?
Yeah, smooth sailing. I think I had, there was one time I almost got caught up when Rod, I think, got a little loose in front of us, and me and Terrence kind of had to go through the middle of him and Hunter. And that was a little hairy, but other than that, I mean, smooth sailing. It was great racing up front. I think we had an 8-car pack there for a while. We were just having a blast riding along, Really good racing. Happy with how it went.
And then obviously it just came down to you and Donovan there at the end, 2 guys from the same team duking it out. And tell us about that move that got you the win. Typically, we'll see someone step out entering the tri-oval. You did a little different. You went to the high side pretty much on the exit at turn 4, and that ended up pretty much getting you a relatively easy win. Donovan really had nothing for you on the inside. What's with that move being a little bit different than what we typically see?
That's just a little something I've been kind of practicing there. it seems to work in my mind a little bit better than wait until you come off 4. You just if you check up a little bit going into 3 and you just get a run on them and go outside as soon as you can. You just carry that momentum all the way down, and usually they start catching you there as you get to the middle of the tri-oval, but you're so far ahead they can't get to you.
Well, it worked perfectly as you described it, and that's going to give you a 400th of a second lead and ended up taking the checkered flag. Next week we go to Richmond. Your team has the points lead by, I do believe it is 6 points over the Last Lap Motorsports team. You guys feel comfortable at that track? What are you predicting?
I think we're going to be pretty good. I know that's one of my favorite tracks. I think Terrence and Rod are good there as well, so we're just going to go there and kind of hope for another clean race, and I'd like to back this up with another win, or at least hopefully another top 5.
Well, you're in victory lane. Who makes it happen for you?
Thank you guys for putting on the league, and thank Rod for giving me the opportunity to come in here and sub for Andrew. I know it's some pretty big shoes to fill. Thank you guys for putting the league on.
Well, that is your race winner. Joshua Hanner is going to take his number 24 Chevrolet Silverado to victory lane at Talladega. Kyle.
Thanks, Evan. A very, very entertaining race here tonight. Caution-free, which I know I was not expecting at all. I don't think you were either, Evan. And it definitely did a big shake-up in the points. We now have defending series champions, the SuperSpeedway Cup in North Union, 6 points ahead of the Last Lap Motorsports guys. And it just shows how strong that team is on superspeedways. You know, they come in with a label on their team. They run superspeedways each and every Friday night over here at ETVLive, and they were able to make the most of it, finishing first, second, and fourth amongst their 3 scoring trucks. And they have the points lead heading into Richmond next week. Unfortunately, to say for the Dark Horse Racing guys, they lost over half of what they came in with. They now sit 64 points out of the championship lead, and it's going to have to come with some very, very strong results if they are going to have any chance, if they even still have a chance at the championship. But for sure, the Super Speedway Cup North Union and Last Lap Motorsports team going to be fighting it out for the championship here at the short track at Richmond next week. Final thoughts for you, Evan?
Well, I can tell you I was not expecting it to go green all the way with the teams. I thought that we'd see a lot of shuffling back and forth and really stay in a bigger pack as opposed to breaking off into tandems. But you can't argue with a clean and green racing, and overall a great night out at the racetrack.
Well, that is going to do it here tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway. The FastTrackRacing.com 200 is in the books. Joshua Hanner and the Superspeedway Cup of North Union team have picked up the victory, and that team is now in the points lead by 6 points heading into Richmond next week for the HDRadioNetwork.com 90 at Richmond International Raceway for 120 laps of racing. For Laura Lawson filling in for John Westling here tonight on the cameras. John, we wish you the best of luck in getting better, and hopefully to see you here next week. For JD Webb, Jerry, for our series director, Jerry Wolf, for Evan Pasoko and myself, Kyle Young, up here in the booth, we would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway, and we will see you next week at Richmond.